The galaxy had always treated Earth as little more than a curiosity, a backwater planet with a fledgling navy that could barely hold its own against pirates in the outer systems. Alien intelligence across multiple star clusters often laughed when they intercepted our broadcasts, mocking our primitive technology and our desperate attempts at interstellar diplomacy. Entire fleets would pass by Earth's sector, confident that nothing more than a minor annoyance awaited them. And for centuries, humanity endured this ridicule, scraping by with ingenuity and stubborn courage, slowly building, learning, evolving. But no one expected what came next. It started as a whisper across the interstellar networks, a rumor from deep space explorers who had barely survived encounters with the more aggressive alien races. Something massive, something impossible, had appeared in orbit around Earth. Sensors went wild, fleets scrambled, and communication channels were flooded with panic and disbelief. Then the first live feeds came through. A shape, colossal and unmistakable, hung in the skies above the planet's major cities. The Titan class. Not just a ship, not just a war machine, but a symbol. A statement from humanity that the galaxy had underestimated us for the last time. The Titan class was unlike anything seen before. Its surface shimmered with alloys that refracted light like liquid metal, giving it an almost ethereal glow against the blackness of space. Its sheer size alone made every other spacecraft in orbit look like mere toys, their weapons tiny and laughable compared to the overwhelming presence of this new warship. On the ground, people stared up in awe and fear. City lights flickered as energy readings spiked and atmospheric sensors registered the sudden gravitational shift. Entire governments paused their emergency protocols, unsure how to react to a single vessel capable of redefining warfare and diplomacy simultaneously. Command centers across Earth buzzed with activity. Naval officers, engineers, and scientists who had spent decades developing strategies against potential alien threats were suddenly thrown into chaos. Everyone had their theories. Was it a prototype sent from a hidden deep space station? Had humanity secretly reverse-engineered alien technology over the years? Or was this some unimaginable leap, a sudden leap forward that even the brightest minds could not explain? Whatever the truth, the presence of the Titan class above their cities made one fact crystal clear: the era of humanity being laughed at was over. Meanwhile, alien observers across multiple systems were stunned. Fleets that had once mocked Earth's defenses were now forced into silence. Intelligence reports flooded in from scouts and probes. The alien commanders, notorious for their arrogance, were confronted with the uncomfortable truth. Humanity had grown, and they had grown fast. The laughter that had once echoed across the galaxy in derision was replaced with a cold, uneasy tension. Every communication channel, every strategy grid, every council of war now had the same urgent question. What had the humans done? And more importantly, what could this Titan class do? As Earth's population gazed up, the world collectively realized that this was not a warning. It was a declaration. The Titan class was fully operational, its weapons systems online, its sensors probing the void for threats. Pilots prepared their fighters, engineers monitored critical power levels, and strategists ran every possible scenario in real time. Citizens watched the skies, unsure whether to cheer, flee, or simply pray. Children whispered stories about heroes of the past, while the elders recalled humanity's history of survival against overwhelming odds. This was a moment that bridged every generation. The fear of annihilation and the spark of awe in human achievement coexisting in a single heartbeat. On the outskirts of the Titan class, small reconnaissance drones flickered in and out of existence, mapping the ship, analyzing its energy signatures, and broadcasting data back to Earth's command hubs. Every image sent back was dissected, studied, and debated. Analysts discovered patterns in the ship's armor, signs of energy redistribution across its surface, and hints of weapon systems that could level entire fleets before they even knew what hit them. Yet, for all its firepower and technology, something even more important became evident. The Titan class was not merely a weapon. It was a message, a challenge. Humanity was no longer a passive participant in the galactic stage. We were active, capable, and dangerous. But with power comes uncertainty. Questions began to dominate conversations at every level of command. Could Earth's existing fleets even begin to operate alongside the Titan class without endangering themselves? Were there limitations to this vessel that even its creators had not anticipated? And most pressing of all, how would the galaxy respond? In distant systems, intelligence networks detected changes in alien fleet movements, sudden evacuations from forward bases, and even internal strife among the more dominant species. The Titan class had already begun to alter the balance of power, and the ripple effects were only starting to be felt. As night fell over Earth's largest cities, the Titan class remained suspended above them like a sentinel from a future yet to be written. Its massive silhouette cast shadows over skyscrapers, highways, and oceans, a silent reminder that humanity had crossed a threshold. Below, the world held its collective breath. No one dared move too quickly, but everyone knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The alien fleets that had once dominated the stars with impunity were now facing an enemy capable of shattering fleets and rewriting the rules of engagement. Humanity, underestimated for millennia, had finally unveiled its ace, a symbol of resilience, innovation, and the unyielding spirit of survival. And yet, even as the Titan class glimmered against the night sky, a subtle tension lingered. There were forces out there, ancient, cunning, and far more dangerous than anyone had ever imagined, watching, waiting, and calculating their response. The galaxy had laughed at Earth for centuries, but laughter is often the first sound before a storm. The Titan class had appeared, a towering answer to scorn. But would it be enough? Could humanity truly withstand what was coming next? Across the planet, in hidden observation rooms and open streets alike, that question remained unanswered. The countdown had begun, and the first moves in a new galactic conflict were about to unfold, leaving everyone to wonder, was the Titan class the ultimate salvation, or the spark of a war humanity had only just begun to understand? The screens went dark. The camera feeds cut off. For a moment, silence reigned over Earth, broken only by the low hum of the Titan class above. And in that silence, a single, undeniable truth hung in the air. The galaxy's laughter had ended, but the story was far from over. The days that followed the Titan class's appearance were unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. Governments struggled to maintain order, while scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to understand the vessel hovering silently above their cities. No one knew who had built it, though speculation ran rampant. Some argued it was the culmination of decades of secret human research, hidden in plain sight under the guise of civilian space programs. Others suggested it had been forged in collaboration with alien allies, a gamble that humanity had finally dared to take. Regardless of the truth, the presence of the Titan class forced the world to confront a new reality. Earth was no longer defenseless, and the galaxy would have to reckon with that fact sooner rather than later. Inside the Titan class, corridors stretched endlessly, illuminated by soft, pulsating light that seemed to shift with the ship's subtle movements. The interior was vast, almost impossibly so, filled with consoles, observation decks, and chambers designed for purposes no one outside its walls could yet imagine. Operators worked in synchronized precision, their attention focused on the myriad systems that kept the ship alive. Some were human, others something else entirely. There were whispers of non-human intelligence integrated into the ship, guiding its movements and anticipating threats with a precision that no human mind could fully comprehend. Yet despite this, the operators moved with unmistakable determination, driven by a goal that had not yet been revealed. Back on Earth, the public response was a mix of awe and fear. Citizens poured into streets to glimpse the Titan class as it hung in the sky, its immense shadow sweeping across cities and oceans. News networks scrambled to keep pace with the unfolding events, broadcasting live feeds that showed ships attempting to approach, only to be repelled by invisible fields of energy that shimmered around the vessel. Military analysts speculated on its capabilities, from defensive shields capable of withstanding orbital bombardment to weapon systems that could strike with unparalleled precision. Social media exploded with theories, ranging from hopeful admiration to paranoid warnings of impending disaster. Humanity had seen giants before in stories and simulations, but nothing prepared them for the reality of one suspended above their homes. On a more personal level, those operating within the Titan class faced challenges of their own. Crew members worked around the clock, interpreting data from the ship's sensors, recalibrating energy fields, and preparing for contingencies that had never been tested. There were moments of tension in the corridors, disagreements over tactics, and debates over how much initiative humans should take versus relying on the ship's apparent intelligence. Yet, even amid these conflicts, a shared determination emerged. The crew understood that the Titan class was more than a vessel. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience and potential. Their mission was not only to defend Earth, but also to demonstrate that human ingenuity could stand alongside the greatest forces in the galaxy. Subplots began to emerge as smaller crises unfolded across different regions of the planet. Coastal cities monitored strange tidal shifts and atmospheric distortions, prompting emergency services to prepare for natural phenomena linked to the Titan class's energy output. Scientists in orbital labs reported anomalies in particle behavior, hinting at technologies that could manipulate matter at unprecedented scales. Naval officers coordinated with intelligence analysts to track alien fleets, noting unusual movements that suggested they were testing Earth's defenses. These parallel developments created a sense of layered tension. While the Titan class offered unmatched power, the environment around it was evolving in ways that no one fully understood. In deep space, alien factions continued to act, each with a unique perspective on Earth's rise. Some deployed stealth fleets to monitor the Titan class at a distance, attempting to map its capabilities without revealing their own presence. Others sent diplomatic envoys, masked under the guise of trade or cultural exchange, to gauge humanity's intentions. Even within these missions, internal tensions flared. Commanders questioned the loyalty of their crews, debated whether aggression or caution was the wiser approach, and considered whether alliances with other species could alter the strategic balance. The galaxy was adapting to Earth's sudden prominence, and humanity had inadvertently become the axis around which multiple conflicts were beginning to pivot. Back on Earth, communication networks carried another subtle layer of tension, rumors of unknown infiltrators or anomalies within human-controlled systems. Engineers noticed unusual coding patterns in AI subroutines. Scientists detected faint energy signatures resembling intelligence outside of the Titan class, and intelligence agencies intercepted signals from distant sectors that hinted at observers already close to Earth. Whether these anomalies were a prelude to attacks, reconnaissance, or some form of warning, they added another element of suspense. Humanity was no longer just defending against alien fleets. It was contending with mysteries that might surpass anything previously imagined. Amid the unfolding chaos, human culture responded in unexpected ways. Artists, writers, and thinkers drew inspiration from the Titan class, imagining futures where humanity's ingenuity could overcome any threat. Children built models of the ship. Engineers experimented with new materials inspired by its design, and philosophers debated the ethics of wielding such immense power. Even ordinary citizens observing from below began to adopt a new perspective. Humanity had grown into a player on a galactic scale. But this awakening carried with it a subtle fear, the recognition that prominence comes with responsibility, and that the galaxy rarely allows one to rise without challenges following closely behind. As the Titan class moved in orbit, subtle maneuvers hinted at larger strategies. Occasionally, it shifted its position in ways that affected satellite trajectories and deep space probes, suggesting either defensive positioning or deliberate preparation for encounters far beyond Earth's immediate environment. Analysts debated endlessly, proposing scenarios ranging from preemptive strikes against potential alien fleets to defensive containment strategies aimed at protecting the planet from unknown threats. No theory could fully explain the ship's actions, and each new observation only deepened the mystery. Humanity was learning quickly, but it had only begun to scratch the surface of what the Titan class represented. Even as tensions rose, small victories and setbacks occurred across multiple fronts. Fighter squadrons tested coordination with the Titan class's sensor networks, successfully evading simulated attacks that would have overwhelmed conventional ships. Scientists detected previously unknown energy signatures emanating from deep space sectors, sparking debates about alien technology or undiscovered phenomena. Political leaders struggled to maintain order, balancing the need for transparency with the risks of public panic. Each development underscored the complexity of the situation. Humanity was now at the center of a galactic chessboard, where every move carried consequences not only for Earth but for distant systems watching closely. The overarching tension never abated. Every day, new signals arrived from the void. New anomalies were detected in the Titan class's energy fields, and new questions arose about how the galaxy would respond to Earth's sudden emergence. The alien fleets remained a looming threat, unpredictable and powerful, while the Titan class offered both protection and the potential to provoke further escalation. Humanity's newfound prominence was exhilarating, terrifying, and full of unknown variables. The story was unfolding from multiple perspectives: the Titan class above, the people below, and the unseen eyes of the galaxy beyond. In this state of perpetual suspense, one truth remained clear. The Titan class had changed everything. Its arrival had disrupted expectations, challenged assumptions, and forced both humans and aliens to confront new possibilities. Conflicts were emerging not only in physical space, but in political, technological, and cultural arenas. And yet, despite the uncertainty, a fragile sense of hope persisted. Humanity had proven it could rise, adapt, and innovate. The galaxy had taken notice. But whether this new balance would hold or shatter under pressures yet unseen remained a question that hovered as heavily as the Titan class above Earth. Every observation, every strategy session, every analysis contributed to a growing sense that the coming days would define humanity's place in the galaxy. The Titan class was not just a vessel, it was the fulcrum around which the next chapter of human history would pivot. And as alien fleets adjusted their positions, as secret signals flickered across space, and as Earth's people looked up at the massive sentinel above their cities, one inescapable reality remained. The galaxy had finally stopped laughing at humanity, but the story of survival, conflict, and discovery had only just begun. The calm before the storm stretched across Earth like a taut wire, ready to snap. Every city, every military command center, every orbital station held its breath. The Titan class remained poised above the planet, a massive silhouette against the black expanse of space, its presence alone enough to shift the calculations of alien fleets scattered across nearby sectors. Communications picked up chatter. Some of it intercepted transmissions from distant warlords and council factions. The message was clear: humanity was no longer a passive observer in the galaxy, and that alone was enough to spark fear, curiosity, and outright hostility. On Earth, naval officers coordinated with the Titan class in increasingly complex simulations, preparing for scenarios that spanned multiple sectors of space simultaneously. Pilots practiced evasive maneuvers, while the Titan class projected defensive shields across entire regions, creating moving zones of protection that dwarfed conventional technology. Engineers worked in tense isolation, recalibrating energy matrices and weapon systems, aware that a single miscalculation could ripple catastrophically through the ship's delicate balance. Every day brought new anomalies, energy fluctuations stronger than predicted, gravitational distortions in orbit, and occasional pulses of unknown origin that interfered with communication arrays. Humanity was learning to adapt, but the margin for error was razor-thin. Alien fleets, for their part, were mobilizing in subtle but unmistakable ways. Scout ships probed the edges of human-controlled sectors, only to retreat after encountering energy readings that defied comprehension. Intelligence networks reported strange coordination among species that had long been rivals, now united by caution or fear. Even the most confident commanders hesitated, questioning whether brute force could overcome the Titan class. Rumors spread that some fleets had even temporarily withdrawn to hidden strongholds, not out of weakness, but because the strategic calculus had shifted. The galaxy itself seemed to pause, waiting to see what humanity would do next. Within the Titan class, tension was equally palpable. Crew members worked tirelessly, their movements synchronized yet under constant strain. There were moments of friction, arguments over defensive priorities, debates about whether to probe further into deep space or maintain orbit, and discussions about the ship's latent systems that had yet to be fully understood. Scientists discovered subtle energy pulses in uncharted spectrums, suggesting capabilities that even the crew had underestimated. Each discovery brought exhilaration, but also unease. If the Titan class could manipulate energy in ways previously thought impossible, then what else might it be capable of, intentionally or otherwise? Across the planet, civilians felt the effects in ways subtle and unsettling. High-altitude drones detected ripples in the ionosphere, satellites picked up faint gravitational anomalies, and electromagnetic disturbances caused sporadic glitches in communication networks. These phenomena, minor though they seemed, reminded humanity that the Titan class was not just a passive protector. It was active, dynamic, and its presence had already begun to influence the planet and the surrounding space in ways no one fully understood. People watched the skies with a mixture of awe and unease, while scientists scrambled to interpret the signs before they escalated into something uncontrollable. Even as Earth adapted, alien observers grew more aggressive in their preparations. Fleets that had once mocked humanity were now coordinating movements that hinted at confrontation. Signals intercepted from unknown factions suggested plans to bypass conventional approaches, possibly using stealth or advanced energy weapons to challenge the Titan class directly. Analysts debated endlessly. Were these fleets testing Earth's defenses or preparing for preemptive strikes? Each scenario carried staggering risks, and the uncertainty of timing intensified the tension. Humanity had awakened the galaxy's attention, but attention could quickly turn into hostility if misread signals or miscalculated movements provoked a response. Subplots unfolded simultaneously, adding layers to the tension. In coastal regions, engineers monitored subtle disturbances in tides and local magnetic fields, tracing anomalies back to the Titan class's energy emissions. Orbital laboratories detected fluctuations that suggested unknown matter interactions, sparking debates about the potential risks to satellites and planetary stability. Fighter squadrons reported intermittent interference from invisible energy fields, forcing adjustments in flight patterns and communications. Each subplot, while separate from the larger galactic picture, contributed to the sense that the situation was evolving in multiple directions at once, and that humanity's ability to respond had never been tested like this before. Political tensions rose alongside technological and scientific developments. Leaders struggled to balance transparency with public safety, knowing that widespread panic could destabilize entire regions. International alliances were strained as nations debated who should have priority access to the Titan class, how civilian populations should be protected, and what measures could be taken to prepare for the unknown. Even the media played a role in amplifying suspense, broadcasting live footage of the Titan class and commentary from experts who could only speculate on its full capabilities. Everywhere, humanity felt the weight of being at the center of a galaxy-wide attention that brought both opportunity and danger. Within the Titan class, crew members uncovered signs of systems that seemed almost sentient, capable of responding to threats in ways that suggested anticipation rather than reaction. Subtle adjustments in the ship's energy shields, instantaneous recalibrations of weapon matrices, and autonomous surveillance patterns hinted at intelligence integrated deeply within the vessel's core. The discovery sparked debates. Should humans rely on this intelligence blindly, or should they attempt to understand it fully before engaging with the galaxy? Every choice carried consequences, and the tension inside the Titan class mirrored the tension outside, creating a sense of suspense that pervaded both human and mechanical participants in the unfolding drama. As days passed, the signs of looming conflict became undeniable. Alien fleets made increasingly bold moves, testing Earth's outer defenses with reconnaissance strikes and probe missions. Even without a full-scale attack, the presence of these forces created stress points in strategy, navigation, and communications. Analysts noted patterns suggesting that alien commanders were probing for weaknesses, attempting to gauge humanity's response times, and perhaps most alarmingly, coordinating their movements in ways that implied knowledge of the Titan class's capabilities. Each encounter, each subtle interaction, built a sense of mounting urgency. The moment when action would be unavoidable was approaching. Meanwhile, civilians continued to adapt in their own ways. Communities organized around observing the skies, sharing data from amateur telescopes, drones, and communication networks. Engineers experimented with materials inspired by the Titan class's armor, while students developed simulations of space encounters that mirrored real-world threats. Even artists and writers found ways to capture the tension, translating uncertainty into expression. Humanity was preparing not just through military and scientific means, but culturally and psychologically, readying itself for the moment when theory would meet reality. The Titan class itself seemed to anticipate escalation. Maneuvers in orbit became more precise, energy pulses more frequent, and subtle changes in gravitational fields hinted at defensive positioning for multiple simultaneous threats. Sensors detected alien fleets at the edges of human-controlled sectors, but each approach was met with a silent, calculated presence rather than overt aggression. It was as if the ship understood the stakes, balancing caution and dominance in ways that defied conventional understanding. Observers across Earth marveled, and some feared, that the Titan class might already see the battlefield in dimensions no human could comprehend. Tension reached a personal scale for those involved in direct operations. Pilots and navigators worked extended shifts, their reflexes tested to the limits by simulations that mirrored real-world threats. Engineers monitoring energy matrices faced the constant risk of minor miscalculations cascading into system-wide failures. Commanders struggled to integrate intelligence from both human and alien sources, often making decisions based on incomplete or contradictory data. Every day felt like a countdown, every minor success a brief reprieve before the next challenge arrived. The sense of anticipation was nearly tangible, as if the world itself knew that something monumental was approaching. Signals from alien factions grew more urgent. Intercepted communications hinted at alliances forming in secret, fleets mobilizing in ways that suggested preemptive intent, and discussions about whether to contain humanity or strike decisively. Analysts warned that the first true engagement could trigger a cascade of reactions across multiple star systems. Even the most conservative commanders admitted privately that Earth was walking a knife's edge, where the line between survival and disaster had never been thinner. The galaxy's laughter was gone, replaced by something far more dangerous: intense scrutiny, calculated threat, and the inevitable anticipation of conflict. As tension mounted across multiple fronts, subtle clues suggested that the Titan class's true purpose remained partially hidden. Energy readings indicated that secondary systems, previously dormant, were beginning to activate. Patterns in gravitational manipulation hinted at strategic positions beyond Earth's orbit. Observations suggested that the ship could project influence into deep space, beyond the reach of conventional reconnaissance. Every analyst and scientist could sense it. The Titan class was preparing, and the moment of inevitable engagement was drawing closer with each passing hour. Below, humanity braced itself. Governments coordinated emergency plans, navies tested readiness drills, and civilians remained vigilant. Across the galaxy, alien factions continued their maneuvers, weighing risk and reward, unsure how far humanity was prepared to go. Every radar ping, every communication relay, every energy spike became a signal of mounting tension. The anticipation was nearly unbearable, a quiet pressure building toward the inevitable confrontation. The Titan class hovered above, silent but deliberate, a sentinel and a harbinger, holding the line between potential peace and unprecedented chaos. And as the hours turned into days, one undeniable truth emerged. The galaxy had shifted, Earth was at the center, and the next move would change everything. The stage was set for a confrontation that no human, no alien, and no strategist could fully predict. The countdown had begun, the stakes had never been higher, and every observer, human or otherwise, felt the tremor of anticipation building toward an unknown, monumental climax. The calm tension that had settled over Earth shattered in an instant. It began as subtle anomalies in the Titan class's sensors, unexplained energy signatures that flickered across multiple sectors, defying every known pattern of movement. At first, the crew dismissed them as glitches, minor deviations caused by the ship's immense power interacting with the planet's atmosphere. But then, the readings intensified, converging on a single point in deep space. Analysts scrambled to identify the source, and what they discovered sent waves of disbelief through every command center on Earth. A fleet of unknown origin was moving toward the solar system, one whose technology was far beyond anything previously encountered. This fleet was unlike the alien forces humanity had prepared to face. It wasn't aligned with the factions that had once scouted Earth, nor did it resemble the warlords or councils that had monitored the Titan class from a distance. The ships were enormous, sleek, and terrifyingly silent, their surfaces reflecting light in ways that suggested materials humanity had only theorized about. Energy fields pulsed rhythmically along their hulls, hinting at power sources that dwarfed even the Titan class itself. Observers on Earth could barely comprehend the scale. These vessels seemed capable of operating both as weapons and as sentient monitors, adapting to any threat they encountered. The implications were staggering. Humanity's sudden rise had drawn attention, but this was something entirely new, something that might redefine the balance of power across the galaxy. As reports spread, the atmosphere inside the Titan class became electric with tension. Crew members worked feverishly to trace the fleet's trajectory, cross-reference its energy emissions with known technologies, and anticipate its capabilities. Every analysis returned more questions than answers. The fleet seemed to avoid conventional detection, slipping past known observation points only to reappear near strategic locations. It was clear that whoever, or whatever, controlled these ships had studied the galaxy's defenses for decades, perhaps centuries, and now they had set their sights on Earth. Commanders convened emergency councils across the planet. Military strategists debated options, weighing the Titan-class's power against an unknown force that could easily match or surpass it in speed, strength, and adaptability. Analysts warned that traditional engagement strategies might fail entirely. Intelligence suggested that this fleet could neutralize orbital defenses, bypass planetary shields, and strike at critical infrastructure with precision no human system could counter. The uncertainty was suffocating, and yet there was no time for hesitation. Every moment wasted increased the risk that Earth would face an assault before it could prepare. At the same time, subtle anomalies began appearing closer to home. Satellites detected shifts in orbital patterns, energy fluctuations along power grids, and unexplained electromagnetic pulses. Scientists realized that the approaching fleet was interacting with the Titan class before even entering Earth's immediate vicinity. It was as if these ships could anticipate defenses, probe weaknesses, and adjust tactics in real time. Panic began to ripple through civilian populations, though governments worked to contain it. Media channels broadcast alerts, expert commentary, and live visualizations of the approaching fleet, fueling both fear and fascination. Humanity had faced threats before, but none like this. The Titan class responded with calculated precision. It deployed sensor arrays beyond normal operational limits, extended defensive fields, and adjusted its orientation to shield Earth's most vulnerable regions. Observers noted the ship's energy pulsing in new ways, a language of power and warning that only the vessel itself seemed to understand fully. Pilots practiced rapid interception drills, naval officers coordinated with orbital stations, and engineers ran contingency simulations non-stop. Yet even with all this preparation, the scale of the unknown fleet left a chilling realization. The Titan class might be Earth's ultimate defense, but even its immense capabilities could be challenged in ways humanity had never encountered. As tension escalated, subplots developed on multiple fronts. Scientists monitoring deep space signals discovered unusual data patterns, encoded pulses suggesting that the fleet was not acting randomly, but following a purpose, possibly seeking to communicate or impose control. Analysts speculated whether this was a prelude to attack, or an attempt at a test, a challenge, or even an offer of alliance. Meanwhile, military units on Earth noticed uncharacteristic behaviors in their own systems. Sensors misfired, energy grids showed spikes, and communication channels experienced intermittent interference. It was as though the approaching fleet had already begun influencing events, exerting a presence long before it physically arrived. Humanity's leaders faced unprecedented pressure. Diplomatic councils scrambled to interpret the threat, while military command wrestled with the reality that conventional tactics might be obsolete. Each decision carried monumental consequences. Should Earth rely entirely on the Titan class, risk engagement with conventional fleets, or attempt a cautious evacuation of key areas? Every choice was fraught with danger, yet indecision was equally perilous. Analysts warned privately that any misstep could provoke the fleet into full-scale action, possibly triggering events that would ripple across nearby systems. Meanwhile, alien factions that had once scouted Earth reacted with confusion and alarm. Some attempted to communicate with the unknown fleet, only to receive no response or distorted signals. Others withdrew to defensive positions, unsure whether humanity's presence or the Titan class had attracted the fleet's attention. The sudden arrival of this new power disrupted alliances, created uncertainty, and suggested that the galaxy was on the brink of a conflict far larger than any one planet could contain. Humanity had become a focal point, not merely for alien strategists, but for forces operating on scales that defied comprehension. Inside the Titan class, crew members grappled with both awe and fear. The ship's integrated systems pulsed with energy at unprecedented levels, and subroutines designed for autonomous response activated without warning. Pilots noted unexpected shifts in navigation arrays, suggesting the ship was preparing for maneuvers beyond human calculation. Scientists observed that certain energy fields appeared to anticipate the fleet's arrival, adjusting defenses preemptively. The sense of being watched and measured even by the ship itself heightened the tension. The Titan class was not just a tool, it was a participant, and possibly a strategist, in the conflict about to unfold. As the fleet closed the distance, visual confirmation arrived. Massive, blackened ships glided through space like predators, their surfaces absorbing light and radiating faint energy pulses. Their scale dwarfed the largest vessels in Earth's Navy, and their formation was eerily precise. Analysts quickly realized that these ships were capable of coordinating in ways that suggested either extraordinary intelligence or an integrated network that allowed instantaneous communication across vast distances. Humanity had faced organized fleets before, but nothing like this. Nothing that combined stealth, firepower, and apparent strategic foresight into a single cohesive force. Earth's citizens could see the subtle signs even from the surface. Night skies were punctuated by flickers of light far beyond the planet's orbit, subtle auroras caused by energy fields interacting with the atmosphere, and odd gravitational anomalies that briefly disrupted flights and infrastructure. Though most remained unaware of the full scale of the threat, the feeling of impending confrontation was palpable. For the first time, humanity understood the fragility of its position. The Titan class was powerful, but the unknown fleet was a variable that could not be predicted, controlled, or ignored. Strategists debated the meaning of the fleet's approach. Was it a warning, a test, or the precursor to an assault? Analysts noted that the ship's energy fields seemed designed to probe and scan rather than engage immediately, suggesting intelligence beyond brute force. Diplomatic channels attempted contact, though signals were met with silence or interference. Meanwhile, humanity's own forces scrambled, preparing for scenarios ranging from full-scale defense to strategic withdrawal, knowing that even a single miscalculation could trigger catastrophic results. Subplots intensified across multiple layers of the conflict. Coastal energy grids showed fluctuations that mirrored deep space energy readings, suggesting the fleet's presence could affect Earth systems without direct engagement. Orbital satellites detected faint gravitational distortions consistent with massive movement across multiple sectors. Pilots noted interference in communication and navigation arrays, suggesting preemptive countermeasures by the approaching fleet. Each new discovery added to the sense of escalating tension. Humanity had moved from being observed to being measured, probed, and tested on scales that were unprecedented. Inside the Titan class, the crew adjusted to the mounting crisis with determination. Tactical officers recalculated defensive arrays, energy managers optimized shield distributions, and navigators plotted intercept paths that would allow the ship to respond to multiple threats simultaneously. There was no guarantee of success. Every calculation was based on incomplete data. But the crew understood the stakes. Every pulse of energy, every flicker of light from the approaching fleet was a challenge, a puzzle, and a warning rolled into one. Humanity's greatest creation was now at the center of a conflict that could reshape the galaxy. As the unknown fleet drew ever closer, the stage was set for a confrontation unlike anything previously imagined. Alien factions held their breath. Earth's citizens watched the skies with awe and fear, and the Titan class pulsed with silent readiness. Every observation, every maneuver, every signal pointed to one conclusion. The galaxy's focus had shifted entirely to humanity, and the next move would determine not only survival, but the very future of interstellar power. And then, just as analysts predicted that the fleet would engage in a standard probing pattern, the unexpected occurred. One of the ships detached from the formation, accelerating at impossible speed directly toward Earth's orbit. Sensors registered energy spikes that dwarfed even the Titan class's maximum output, and warning alarms echoed through command centers worldwide. The tension, already unbearable, spiked to near physical intensity. Humanity was about to face a force that had anticipated its every move, and the true nature of the challenge, whether friend, foe, or something in between, remained entirely unknown. Every eye turned skyward. Every sensor focused. Every calculation held its breath. The second plot twist had arrived, and with it, the realization that humanity's story, its survival, and its place in the galaxy were about to be tested in ways no one could have predicted. The approaching ship cut through space with an impossible speed, a streak of darkness against the stars, closing in on Earth's orbit in a matter of minutes. Inside the Titan class, the crew worked in perfect synchronization, their hands moving over controls as if instinct alone guided them. Sensors screamed, shields flared, and energy pulses radiated outward, forming a protective barrier around the planet's surface. Every system was pushed to its limit. Yet the ship seemed to anticipate the threat, adjusting defensive vectors before the first alien strike even materialized. Humanity had trained for moments like this, but no simulation had ever matched the intensity of a real, imminent confrontation on a galactic scale. The detached vessel stopped just outside the outer orbital perimeter, its massive hull bristling with energy weapons that pulsed in a rhythm that felt almost alive. Analysts inside the Titan class struggled to decode the ship's behavior. Was it preparing to attack, testing defenses, or sending some signal? Then the first pulse came, a blast of energy that collided with the Titan class's shields. The force reverberated through the massive vessel, shaking floors, rattling consoles, and sending tremors down the spines of the crew. Yet the Titan class held. Its shields absorbed and redistributed the energy in a display of engineering and technology so advanced that even the most seasoned officers stared in awe. Humanity had been underestimated for centuries, and the galaxy was about to learn why Earth would never be dismissed again. As the Titan class retaliated, firing streams of concentrated energy into the void between the two ships, smaller fleets of Earth's Navy joined the effort, launching fighters in coordinated strikes designed to distract and probe the alien vessel. The unknown ship responded with precision, intercepting attacks and projecting countermeasures that disabled drones without destroying them, almost as if it were studying the humans' tactics. Analysts realized something remarkable. The fleet was not simply hostile, it was assessing humanity, gauging whether the Titan class and its allies were capable of more than raw power. Every maneuver was a challenge, a test of ingenuity, coordination, and resilience. Earth's cities watched the unfolding confrontation through orbital feeds and live broadcasts. Citizens saw flashes of light in space, the hum of energy shields, and the occasional streak of fighter craft moving at incredible speed. The world collectively held its breath. For decades, humans had been laughed at, dismissed, and underestimated by the galaxy. But now the Titan class, the culmination of human ingenuity, was proving that Earth could not only survive, but confront threats that had once seemed invincible. The morale boost was immense, yet it came with the recognition that one misstep could unravel everything. Inside the Titan class, the crew executed maneuvers that tested the ship to its limits. Energy shields extended to encompass multiple orbital layers, weapon arrays fired in rapid succession with pinpoint accuracy, and the ship's movement synchronized perfectly with human fighter squadrons. Analysts noted that the alien vessel adapted almost instantly, anticipating human strategy and attempting to outmaneuver it. The battle was no longer just physical, it was tactical, psychological, and technological. Humanity had evolved, and the confrontation had become a duel of ingenuity against an intelligence that had prepared for centuries. Then, in the midst of combat, the unexpected occurred. The alien ship emitted a concentrated pulse, not directed as an attack, but as a signal. It resonated in frequencies that caused the Titan class to shift its systems, almost involuntarily, as if responding to a command. Communications scrambled, sensors flickered, and for a moment, panic threatened to take hold. The crew realized that the fleet had a secondary objective. It was testing the very intelligence of the Titan class, probing its responses, and gauging whether humanity had truly mastered the technology it now wielded. Every shield fluctuation, every energy redistribution was a test, and failure could mean total annihilation. Human strategists, watching the battle unfold from command centers on Earth, realized that a different approach was needed. It wasn't enough to match the alien ship in power. They had to demonstrate adaptability, coordination, and understanding. Pilots adjusted their formations, engineers manually recalibrated energy flows, and tactical officers executed maneuvers that the ship's systems had never autonomously considered. For the first time, humanity wasn't just surviving, it was innovating in real time, turning the Titan class into an extension of collective human ingenuity rather than a solitary weapon. The alien vessel reacted, firing pulses designed to disrupt these adaptive maneuvers, but the Titan class responded with countermeasures that had been improvised mid-battle. The two ships engaged in a tense dance, exchanging volleys of energy and tactical maneuvers across space. Earth's satellites and deep space probes fed constant data into the Titan class's systems, creating a network of observation and prediction that allowed humans to anticipate moves the alien ship hadn't even attempted yet. For the first time, the balance of power began to shift. Humanity's ingenuity, resourcefulness, and determination became as much a weapon as the Titan class itself. Just as the battle seemed to reach its peak intensity, a new revelation struck. Analysis of the alien ship's energy pulses suggested it was not merely assessing humanity, it was searching for something buried within Earth's defenses. A hidden system, perhaps a dormant fleet, a long-forgotten weapon, or even a signal capable of unlocking unprecedented power. Panic surged briefly as strategists realized that the conflict was only partially about confrontation. It was also a race for understanding, a test of whether humanity had prepared for threats the galaxy had long kept hidden. The implications were staggering. The Titan class had been a defensive marvel, but now the stakes included secrets that might determine the fate of the planet itself. With renewed focus, the Titan class activated latent systems that had not yet been fully understood by its crew. Energy shields expanded to unprecedented levels. Weapon arrays engaged new targeting protocols, and auxiliary systems created micro-variations in gravitational fields to destabilize the alien ship's movement. For the first time, the alien vessel encountered resistance it could not immediately predict or control. Pulses ricocheted, shields flared, and the two forces collided in a titanic clash of technology and strategy. The universe seemed to hold its breath as beams of energy streaked across space, lighting the void with flashes that could be seen even from Earth's surface. Fighter squadrons executed daring maneuvers, exploiting openings created by the Titan class's new systems. Pilots navigated energy disruptions and gravitational anomalies with skill born of training, instinct, and trust in the massive vessel above them. The alien ship attempted a desperate counter, deploying miniaturized drones capable of autonomous combat and reconnaissance. But humanity had adapted. Engineers reprogrammed interception protocols on the fly, drones were captured or neutralized, and tactical patterns evolved faster than the alien intelligence could anticipate. It was a battle of wits as much as firepower, and humanity had begun to demonstrate a level of strategic genius the galaxy had never expected. Then came the turning point. A concentrated energy pulse fired from the Titan class found a critical point in the alien vessel's energy matrix, causing a ripple effect that destabilized its shields and temporarily disrupted its systems. Alarms blared inside the enemy ship, and sensors indicated confusion within the fleet's command structure. Humanity had not merely survived, it had gained the advantage, proving that the Titan class combined with human ingenuity could overcome even the most advanced threats. Analysts on Earth cheered, citizens watched in disbelief, and for the first time, the galaxy's derision transformed into recognition. But just as the battle seemed to resolve in humanity's favor, a final twist emerged. The alien ship, destabilized but still operational, emitted a signal directly to Earth's core systems, a pulse not aimed at destruction, but at revelation. Sensors picked up a pattern, a series of instructions embedded in the energy that triggered a hidden system deep within the Titan class. A secret, long dormant, activated. An auxiliary fleet, previously unobserved, emerged from stasis deep within Earth's orbital infrastructure. It was a contingency designed centuries ago, a failsafe that even the Titan-class crew had not fully understood. The revelation stunned everyone. Humanity had not only survived the immediate threat, but now possessed a force capable of rewriting the rules of interstellar conflict entirely. As the alien fleet retreated, its intentions partially obscured but respect unmistakable, humanity realized the depth of what had just occurred. The Titan class had defended the planet, demonstrated human ingenuity, and revealed a hidden strength that no one outside the Earth system could have anticipated. Yet the final twist hung in the air like a shadow. The auxiliary fleet, powerful and mysterious, raised questions about why it had been kept hidden, who had designed it, and what other secrets Earth might hold. The galaxy's attention had shifted definitively toward humanity, and the next chapter promised challenges even more formidable than those just overcome. The Titan class, now stabilized, hovered above Earth's cities, its systems humming with latent energy, its crew exhausted but vigilant. The world below celebrated cautiously, aware that survival had been hard-won and that the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. But the unknown fleet, retreating into the void, had left behind more questions than answers. What other forces were watching? What other secrets lay hidden, waiting to be discovered? And as humanity began to understand its own potential, the realization settled in. The story was far from over. The galaxy had acknowledged Earth, but the challenges of survival, ingenuity, and dominance were only just beginning. The climax had arrived and resolved the immediate conflict, yet the final twist, the hidden fleet within the Titan class, hinted at a larger, deeper story waiting to unfold. Humanity had survived, had proven its worth, and had reshaped its place in the galaxy. But the true scale of what lay ahead remained unknown, ensuring that suspense, discovery, and wonder would continue in the chapters to come. In the days following the confrontation, Earth began to settle into a fragile calm. The skies, once tense with anticipation, now reflected the quiet presence of the Titan class hovering above, its massive silhouette a constant reminder of humanity's new role in the galaxy. Analysts, scientists, and military strategists pored over the events, documenting every maneuver, every energy fluctuation, and every strategic decision that had made survival possible. They knew that the victory had not been just the result of technology. It had been a testament to human adaptability, courage, and ingenuity. The world had faced a force far beyond its previous comprehension and had not only survived, but had proven it could compete on an interstellar scale. On the streets, life began to resume, though the shadow of the Titan class remained a source of awe and caution. Citizens watched the massive vessel as it moved with silent precision, its energy fields visible as faint, shimmering lines against the sky. Conversations were filled with speculation about what had been learned, what might still be hidden, and how humanity would continue to evolve in the presence of such power. Children drew images of the Titan class and the fleet it had faced, inspired by the story of survival and ingenuity. Across the planet, humanity celebrated a collective sense of accomplishment, not just in defeating a threat, but in demonstrating that Earth could no longer be ignored by the galaxy. Inside the Titan class, the crew worked to stabilize systems after the intense engagement. The auxiliary fleet, newly revealed, was brought fully online, its dormant vessels now synchronized with the main ship. Engineers marveled at the design, realizing that it had been built for centuries of potential threats, yet still perfectly compatible with human command. Pilots trained with renewed focus, exploring new maneuvers now possible with the additional ships, and analysts studied the behavior of the alien fleet they had faced to better anticipate future encounters. The realization settled in. Humanity now possessed the means not only to defend Earth, but to project power and protect allies across the galaxy should the need arise. Meanwhile, alien factions that had once dismissed Earth began to reassess their assumptions. Messages intercepted from distant systems revealed cautious discussions, strategies re-evaluated, and alliances reconsidered. The galaxy had watched humanity confront the unknown fleet, and the outcome had sent a clear signal. Earth was no longer a minor player. Even the most powerful fleets paused, uncertain of whether to challenge humanity directly or seek cooperation. This shift in perception was perhaps the most significant change of all. Respect had replaced derision, and the balance of power had subtly but irreversibly shifted in humanity's favor. Back on Earth, scientists continued to examine the residual effects of the battle. Energy anomalies, gravitational fluctuations, and subtle changes in orbital mechanics were studied carefully, ensuring that the planet's infrastructure and satellite systems remained stable. Engineers adapted knowledge gained from the Titan class, developing new materials, propulsion methods, and energy storage systems inspired by the ship's advanced technology. Across the planet, innovation surged as humanity embraced the lessons learned from surviving the confrontation. The event had ignited a new era of technological advancement and collective problem-solving, reminding everyone that survival required both courage and creativity. The subplots that had run through the story also began to find resolution. Coastal energy grids, once disrupted by the alien fleet's approach, were stabilized using modified shield technologies derived from the Titan class's defensive systems. Orbital laboratories, which had detected unusual gravitational anomalies, found that careful calibration and observation could prevent future disruptions. Fighter squadrons returned to standard patrols, now capable of executing maneuvers that had been tested under the highest pressure. Even the mysterious pulses that had interfered with communication networks were traced and neutralized, revealing that they had been part of the alien fleet's probing systems rather than a lingering threat. Every challenge had been addressed, not through luck, but through determination, ingenuity, and human adaptability. Civilians, inspired by the events, contributed in their own ways. Students developed simulations of interstellar strategy. Hobbyists refined observational equipment to detect deep space anomalies, and engineers experimented with energy systems inspired by the Titan class. Humanity had begun to internalize the lessons of the battle, understanding that the galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of opportunities. The confrontation had revealed both vulnerability and potential, and people across Earth recognized that preparation, innovation, and unity were now essential to survival and advancement. The Titan class itself, once a mysterious sentinel, became a symbol of human achievement. Its systems continued to hum with quiet energy, projecting a presence that reassured civilians and reminded the galaxy of Earth's capabilities. Crew members, though exhausted, felt pride in the vessel's performance and in the ingenuity of humanity that had guided it. Plans were made for long-term observation, exploration, and potential engagement with alien civilizations. For the first time, humans were no longer reactive. They were proactive participants in the galactic stage, ready to shape outcomes rather than merely survive them. Even as peace returned, the final twist lingered in everyone's mind. The auxiliary fleet had been hidden for centuries, a safeguard no one had fully understood until now. Analysts speculated about who had designed it, whether it had been a product of human foresight, or whether an unknown influence had played a role in its construction. This revelation suggested that humanity's past contained layers of preparation and ingenuity far beyond current comprehension. The story was ending for now, but the knowledge that there were secrets yet to be uncovered left a sense of wonder and anticipation. Humanity had survived the greatest test of its era, but the universe remained vast, unpredictable, and full of possibility. Across the planet, a quiet reflection settled in. Citizens, scientists, and military personnel alike considered the events not as a conclusion, but as a foundation for the future. The Titan class had defended Earth, revealed hidden strengths, and demonstrated the power of unity and intelligence. Humanity had risen to meet the challenge, proving that resourcefulness, courage, and collaboration could overcome even seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The lessons learned would guide generations to come, inspiring innovation, exploration, and resilience in a galaxy that now watched Earth with newfound respect. In orbit, the Titan class and its auxiliary fleet held position, silent but vigilant. Observers from distant star systems noted the expanded human presence, aware that Earth was now a force capable of defending itself and challenging expectations. Communication channels opened cautiously as other civilizations sought to understand the planet that had withstood the unknown fleet and emerged stronger. Humanity's actions had created a precedent. No longer would Earth be ignored, underestimated, or dismissed. The galaxy had witnessed a new chapter in human history, one defined by courage, intelligence, and the capacity to rise above challenges that had once seemed impossible. As the sun rose over Earth's cities, casting light on a planet forever changed, the collective sense of achievement was tempered by humility. Humanity had survived, had defended itself, and had proven its ingenuity. But the galaxy remained vast and full of unknowns. Scientists continued research, military strategists continued simulations, and civilians continued to watch the skies with wonder. The story had reached a satisfying conclusion for now, resolving immediate threats, answering pressing questions, and demonstrating the power of human determination. Yet it also left room for reflection, growth, and the knowledge that even greater challenges and discoveries awaited in the cosmic expanse. In the end, humanity had claimed its place among the stars, not through brute force alone, but through intelligence, adaptability, and unity. The Titan class had proven that even the most advanced threats could be met with courage and strategy, while the auxiliary fleet reminded everyone that preparation, foresight, and hidden strengths could turn the tide of any conflict. The galaxy had taken note, the unknown fleets had withdrawn, and Earth had emerged victorious, not just in survival, but in asserting the potential of the human spirit. The story closed with a sense of fulfillment and hope. The main conflicts had been resolved, subplots concluded, and questions answered, yet the narrative left humanity looking forward. The Titan class remained vigilant, the auxiliary fleet ready, and the world united in pride and anticipation. Lessons had been learned, boundaries pushed, and a legacy of ingenuity established for future generations. Humanity had proven that even when faced with the most impossible challenges, survival, triumph, and innovation were possible. And as the planet turned beneath the protective shadow of the Titan class, one truth remained clear. The galaxy would never underestimate Earth again, and the story of human potential had only just begun.